I remember you and I when I first talked to you on the phone, and you're probably not going to remember this, and that's totally fine. But you may remember the idea that I'm referring to. We were talking, and you were going to be writing a script for like another movie, and I remember you saying distinctly, I remember you saying, yeah, I got to do the sequel to this movie, or I'm doing my next movie. And I think I remember you saying, like, I'm kind of scared to start it or something. And I remember being like, because you were voicing something that I kind of think about from time to time, just in the sense of like, I think as writers, because that's primarily what I am. I mean, I make a lot of movies and whatnot, and I do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I think you and I at our core, if someone said, hey, you can only do one thing and we're going to make it so that you can only do that one thing, I would probably just say, yeah, I'll write books and movies and I'll be happy doing that.
Me too. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to ask this question is like the fear of writing. Do you experience that still? Like how much of a thing for you is that? Or after all these years, is it something that you've maybe made peace with and it's not as daunting for you to maybe sit in front of a blank page and just get the ideas out?
No, I mean, I think maybe in those days I didn't have as much confidence in myself. I didn't know if my my ideas would translate and other people would like them. And you know, I've had done it for many years now, and so I know that I have my own style and that people react to it. And no, I don't have a lot of fear. Sometimes it's hard getting motivated. You know, sometimes you don't have the muse with you, but it's not a fear.
Do you prefer books to write or movies, or are you fine kind of going between both worlds?
Well, I prefer writing film scripts because and that's when I direct. I want to direct my own scripts. I don't trust anyone else to have my vision, you know. And the books have come about as a way of putting out. I'm feeling my mortality. I'm an old son of a bitch, and I have all these projects in my head that I've had for a long time, and I never was able to make a film of them. So I'm writing them as books to get them out in the world while I can.
Wow, no, that's interesting. I never ever thought about that or thought that that's kind of what you were thinking, but it's sort of like you're like, hey, I don't know that I'm going to have all the time that I want. I think Woody Allen once said that that was like his biggest fear was not having enough time to make everything that he wanted to make. But if you do them as books, it's a way to kind of, and you want, because you also still make movies too, like
Yeah.
it's a way for you to kind of, you know, kind of control that more.
Yeah, like the ones that are beyond my budget, my ability to raise the budget for, like the one I gave to Greg Sims. It's called B Movie. When I finally turned into a novel called The Grave Robbers, because it's a period piece, it would take a pretty decent budget to make it, and it's also one of my best stories. So I got it out that way.
Well, you know, speaking of that, you know, you also have always impressed me because, you know, you've made Westerns and you've made like a lot of movies in a lot of different genres. So you've like, how have you found the way to do that? And do you still have the wherewithal, you think, to kind of slog through and try to get the budget and make a period movie, or no?
Well, I don't have the connections to make a seriously large budget like a professional movie. I've never had anything that struck that well that someone will back me. As far as genres, like, genre doesn't really matter to me if it's a story I connect with. By the way, the Western I made was a horror Western. It had a werewolf in it. But going back to Hugh Murphy, my movie mentor, I only liked horror and science fiction movies then, and he taught me to, you know, I hated Westerns, and now I adore Westerns. It's from listening to Hugh for hours and hours, watching movies with him.
Gotcha. Really, really, I would never know that. You seem, I mean, to me, you seem like you always would have loved that genre, but really, you used to not be a fan of it.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I didn't like care for it at all. But since I've been an adult, yeah, I mean, John Ford's my favorite director. Just love great westerns. You know,
So, oh no, say what you were going to say.
I love movies of all genres if they're great movies. They're well directed and well written, and you know, there's a lot of different reasons for loving different movies. But I'm a big fan of the major classics of the American cinema mostly.
So now you mentioned John Ford as a favorite director. Do you have a favorite or favorites for movies?
Well, he is a movie director. I mean, what do you mean?
Well, no. Do you have like a favorite movie, like a
Um,
movie that you would be like? For me, it's The Pope of Greenwich Village. For you, it would be.
It's a boring answer, I suppose, but it's Citizen Kane. I simply adore Orson Welles. I don't even think it's his best film necessarily, but it's the one that affected me the most, and that you can go back to and find different levels. And every time you see it, it's you know, it's just a groundbreaking, masterful film.
Do you think that that has anything to do with why, when you write a script, you want to direct it because you don't trust others to kind of do what you're going to do?
Sure, unless it's a director I admire, that would be great. If someone, you know, some great director wanted to direct something I wrote, I'd be happy with any change they wanted to make because they're in charge. But yeah, that's basically it. I want to control of my story.
Can you talk at all? When you and I met, it was 1996. And like I'm a younger guy, but still like we shared like the same mind. Like I think that's why we always got along.
Mm-hmm.
And like the even the low budget business and the micro budget business, it seemed to be like bigger than what it is now in terms of making stuff. And I remember like talking to you and talking to Kevin, like you guys were like finding ways to sell the territories on your own. You guys would sell to Malaysia, you would sell to Korea. So can you talk a little bit about how it's changed from then to now? Like just, I mean, you know, obviously in as much as you are able.
Okay, yeah. Well, in those days, it was Mark Gordon going to all the film markets with my stuff and making deals with different countries. It was all about you know, the video stores. It was all about a really cool box. That's mattered a lot more than the content of the movie to the people who bought the films. And so we always had you know, good art designers to make a cool box. Then that market got glutted. The video stores, they would buy anything in those days that had a cool box. And that's how got guys like me and Kevin got our stuffs in video stores originally. And Polonia's, same thing. But then that market got glutted, and they started having higher standards. It was really hard for a long time to get this stuff distributed, unless it was made to the major budget, had super crisp sound and maybe a star or two. But then the internet came along, and now there's all kinds of ways to market your film. I generally these days, the last year or so, I've been working with SRS distributors. I say, I'm making this film. Are you guys interested in it? And they say yes or no, and they pick it up. And you know, of course, you got Film Hub, where you can. It's an aggregator that sells to different streaming platforms. I have several films on different platforms from them, and you know, there's of course there's YouTube and all kinds of internet ways to get your films out there, even if it's hard to make money at it. But it was never about money for me. It was always about wanting to tell stories that I want to tell. I've never made a fortune out of any of it. These days the money's coming in more regularly than it used to, though, which is really nice, especially living on Social Security.